So Wayne was just poking a little fun at me because I was a little bit tardy today, having a lot going on, but I don't like it and it's rude and I apologize.
I'm just teasing them, folks.
I know, and I deserved it. Wayne, I did a broadcast this morning talking about no man has seen God and lived, yet there's several people in the Bible that did see God and lived to tell about it. What do you think that scripture is really talking about? Do you think it's completely dung, or do you think there's some spiritual lessons there for us to think about?
I quote, every man, woman, when they pass through the veil, will come upon a great abyss. And as they look within the abyss to see that of their greatest fear, they only see themselves looking back.
Right.
That's what God is.
I agree. I agree. And I think, yeah, that's kind of where I went on it, is that no man can see God and live, is the verse I was talking about. And any man, woman, boy, or girl that actually gets a revelation or an understanding or a real view of God will never be the same. They will never live the same again. They will not exist the same way. They will not be the same person. Even if it's a Christian concept, a lot of people get their lives changed by this seeing God, the understanding of what they consider to be God. And when you move it into the more spiritual realms and less regimented Abrahamic realms, if you see God, experience God, undergo a God moment, then you really don't live the same anymore. And if you feel like you've met God and seen God and your life hasn't changed, it might not have been God that you saw.
No, no. It's odd that you say this. I was talking to Lynn, and right before we came on, we were just sharing, our conversations on Sunday mornings we do. And I came up with this, and she said, that's so profound and true. I said, without quietness, there is no serenity, no sovereignty.
Without quietness, there's no serenity, no sovereignty. Wow, explain that a little bit.
Okay. The reason why most people cannot stand themselves, that they have this negative view of themselves, is because they wrap themselves in many layers. Is what we do. All of our lives, we add layer upon layer, hiding the real person within. And then you spend the rest of your life, if you're fortunate enough, to begin to start stripping away those layers. My point is this. If you live in an environment where there's always chaos, always activity, there's always a cacophony of something going on, something in the background, something that's constantly distracting you, that's how virtually 99% of the world's population lives.
It is. Sometimes we create our own cacophonies.
Yes. And when you lose the quietness, David, if David ever lived, I love what he wrote about Shelah. Be quiet, O my soul, and know the serenity of God. Know the serenity of self. And I'm sure shepherds have much time to get to know self more than anything else. And I have found people who become very uncomfortable when it's quiet. They get jittery, nervous. They want to say something. Lynn and I have this relationship where we don't even have to speak words. There is a quietness, there's a serenity. And I contend, if you don't know what true serenity is, you'll never know what sovereignty is.
Gotcha. Interesting. Interesting.
Because sovereignty, Jeff, is about self. It's about the realization of self. And that self is so elusive to most of us. Most people die, and I think that that's probably the shock. What they see on the other end is that they wouldn't recognize themselves if they met themselves. And
gotcha.
Is that Sandra here?
Yeah, that was Sandra.
Hi, Sandra. But anyway, so you have people who seek sovereignty but lack the serenity, and they want to know why it's unbalanced.
I gotcha. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So what else is on your mind, Wayne?
Well, just that in the world.
Just that in the world? What do you mean?
Oh, I've had a delightful week over on my channel. Really kind of busting the sacred cow, so to speak. And, it's this whole journey I find many people, more and more people, Jeff, coming up on. I had a conversation yesterday that was very interesting. I put out there, I said this earlier, that the Bible gives what I would call clues. The Bible is constructed from truths. I mean,
And it's encrypted, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's designed that way because knowledge is not the right of the individual. And I know that sounds harsh, but you don't have a right.
Knowledge is not the right of the individual.
No, it is not. You have to fight for knowledge. It's not given to you.
Oh, so we have this conception that we have the right to knowledge.
Yeah.
We don't have the right to knowledge. And in fact, in these bodies, I would suggest that we have an aversion to true knowledge.
We were created that way.
And I'm reading Magenta Pixie's latest book, and it talks about the fact that this matrix that we're constructed in actually constructs us to be averse.
Yes.
To knowledge.
Yes, and I just saw, I can't pronounce their name, Nargazel? Nargazel? Anyway, being alone isn't the same as being lonely. That's absolutely correct. But getting back to your point, I believe that's the point. You have to fight for knowledge.
You do, and you have to fight yourself.
Yeah.
To get to knowledge. You have to fight your flesh to get to knowledge. And they give us fake knowledge freely given. Anything that's freely given, you probably have to wonder about it.
It's trickery. You and I were talking before we came on. I'll tell you why wisdom is no longer in the world. In fact, I contend, as you look at this world today, that the single one thing our species lack is wisdom. And because wisdom is only gained when one has an understanding of knowledge. And
I think it goes information, knowledge, information. There's information out there. Once we get some of information, we have knowledge. But to move from knowledge, we have to apply that knowledge to move into wisdom.
Yes, and you can't be segregating knowledge. Most people, because of religious indoctrination, segregate knowledge. They'll say, well, this is the sacred knowledge. This is the evil knowledge. This is what happens. And so they will pursue one course in knowledge while ignoring what they perceive to be evil, and thus they never touch, and thus they never read, thus they never know.
So it's more a thing of we only want the knowledge that we want. We don't want all knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, look how many times you and I take it in the shorts with many Christians. Like I said, I never have a problem with the Muslims. I don't have a problem with the Hindus. They seem to be very open, but it's the viciousness that the attacks come in, and you stop and you ask yourself, well, I guess you never read 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. And I often ask people, if you have a problem when someone says something counter to your theology, what would your Lord have done?
What would he have done, Wayne?
He'd have listened. He'd have talked. He would not have criticized. He would not have condemned. He would not have judged. He'd have talked. Tell me how you think about this. Okay? And if you go by the legend, you're talking to the Son of God. What a great opportunity. I would love to have sat down with such a figure and talked about the cosmos, talk about greater knowledge beyond this plane of existence. Instead of coming back and saying, Jeff, you're going to hell. You have, profaned the blood of Jesus. You have turned your back on the sacred sacrifice made by God, and your destiny is hell, and I hope to see you in there. That's what I was told this week.
They do add that last part, and I hope to see you there.
Yeah. And I'm going, well, if I'm there, sweetheart, your sorry ass is going to be there too.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But I don't know, Jeff. There's a lot of anger I see out there. When I go out and, you have to do your errands and you have to carry off the stuff, I swear to you, my friend, it's as if we're on a pressure cooker. I mean, people are just uptight.
People are crazy uptight, and the second something goes against what somebody wants, they blow up.
Yeah.
They're easy to talk to as long as everything is in their perception and everything's going along with their ideas and their thoughts and their knowledge. But as soon as you bring up something that doesn't line up with their knowledge, you get this explosion.
And yeah, and it's vicious sometimes.
It's horribly vicious sometimes.
I mean,
What is it about that once we get outside our own knowledge, there's two kind of people in the world. And I'm not trying to put you and I on a pedestal, but people like you and I, if somebody gets outside our knowledge, we're like, really?
you see, that's just it. Yeah.
Let me think about that. Other people, you get outside their knowledge and boom, it's vicious attack coming at you. Why are you attacking me? It's like, wait a minute. All I did was bring up something that's outside your base of knowledge. How's that an attack?
What? And that's exactly it. You're going, well, when did I walk into this room? I mean, it's like walking in the middle of a play. Like, well, what happened with that? I don't know. I think it's because maybe, Jeff, let's just take the book of Daniel.
That's
Have
a good
we
one.
truly entered into this time where knowledge is increasing and abounding beyond our capacity to actually take in?
That's an interesting point. Because Daniel did, I mean, clearly, and I was on Coast to Coast with this before in relation to the Mandela effect, but Daniel clearly said that, and he described our time in terms that could not be applicable to any time before this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that this is the time when knowledge was emerging, or when Da'ath knowledge was emerging. The full understanding of divinity is emerging.
Yeah.
And it's emerging. I like your suggestion that it's emerging at a faster rate than most people can assimilate. And that's true. And it's only the people that are really seeking and really digging and really trying to grow in the spirit that can even hope to assimilate this. And to some of us, we can't get enough.
Yeah. It's like Robert Palmer used to sing,
Simply irresistible.
Yeah, I was thinking about love is the drug I'm looking for, but it's knowledge. And, my thirst for knowledge is, and that's why I love being around free thinkers in the room here today, Jeff.
Irresistible. That's what your thirst for knowledge is. Mine too.
And I told Lynn, I said, and she just laughed out loud. I said, hon, my desire for knowledge is the same as an addict on drugs or pornography.
I'm in the same boat. Is that an addiction, Wayne? And should we be worried about it? Or is it really just being drawn to truth beyond any and all else? I mean, have you ever been chastised for asking too many questions?
Oh, God, yes.
I get it all the time.
Let me tell you a true story. My father, a little time that I lived with him, backhanded me into the middle of next week because I asked a question about knowledge. And Lynn always says that when she was in Christianity, she said, my vision of the Christian God was the whack-a-mole God. Don't put your head up. Keep yourself out of sight. Don't say a word. Just keep under the radar. And
I mean, I certainly was ordained by First Whack-a-Mole Assembly. There's no doubt about it. First Whack-a-Mole Fellowship.
You see? And what did they give us when we left? The left foot of fellowship right out the door.
They gave us the left foot of fellowship. And folks, just to put that in context, when you join a church, they usually say, we give you the right hand of fellowship. But then when they send you out the other way, it's the left foot of fellowship. In no uncertain terms.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I remember I got the left foot of fellowship from the district superintendent of the Northwest District of the Assemblies of God, Wayne.
Woo.
Right in front of the whole meeting. He said, get the hell out of here. District superintendent, get the hell out of here.
God, Jeff. Oh, man.
And his name was Dennis Davis. I don't know if you're still alive, but you deserve that if you are.
There was a show back in the day, Chuck Connors played Branded, where he was a branded Army captain.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I remember the rifleman, though.
Yeah, he played in another series called Branded. And, I hope you walked proud. And I hope you walked tall as you were stepping out.
I did. And you know what I did when this was a little bit ego, but when I got to the door, I turned around and I shook my feet off like I was shaking the dust off of my feet.
Ah, that's my man. Right on.
I shouldn't have done that, but I did.
Well, actually,
either that or spit on the floor. I didn't think that would be appropriate.
or throw your shoe at them, one of the two. But
I could have done that.
Actually, you
Those
did
are good shoes, though.
But you did exactly what the scripture quotes you to do.
Oh, that's why I did it.
And he knew it.
Oh, they all knew it. There was the 15 presbyters all sitting around the big conference table.
Oh, man, Jeff, that had to be intense, dude.
It was really, really bad.
So I'm just curious, because, by the way, I'd love to have you on a Friday night show.
Anytime, just say the word.
Well, let's do next Friday night. How's that?
Next Friday night?
Well, check in, make sure. Yeah.
I think I can do that.
But, so, listen, we've all been in those intense meetings. I have board meetings, investor meetings, lawyer meetings. So that had to be intense. What precipitated this? Was it your awakening? Was it,
Well, if this just gives you an idea of where I was at that point. I normally was just an evangelist, but there was a struggling church in Eastern Oregon that they asked me to go in and be the assistant pastor of and help teach this pastor how to grow churches and stuff like that. So I went in there, and this is back when I was red hot, blood bought, sin chasing, devil killing, the whole 9 yards. I was completely born again. And he got up in a Sunday service and said that he wasn't going to allow any more speaking in tongues on the Sunday morning service, because we're going to be more of a seeker-friendly church, and we don't want anybody to do that. And I, of course, just went ballistic, and quit. I'm never going back again. Started another church in the same town.
I love this.
With a different denomination, the Church of God, Cleveland, Tennessee. And you know what happened? 95% of the people from the Assembly Church came over.
Oh, God.
And then I got a call from Salem, and they invited me to come up and have a discussion. And it didn't end well.
I would have loved to have been a proverbial fly on the wall on that one.
Yeah, and that's just so, that's how bad I was. I was that into the Pentecostal faith. I was that into it. And here I am now. Wow.
It's one of the reasons, oddly enough, that I left the Four Square Church was the fact that
McPherson.
Was the fact that they want to promote the Spirit, the gifts of the Spirit, but their young pastor said almost the exact same thing. Because I said, well, why aren't you letting the people pray in the Spirit?
Yeah.
Well, if someone came in off the street seeking salvation, what would they think if they saw a bunch of people speaking in a language they didn't understand? I said, I think they probably walked up to this as the power source.
Yeah. At that time, you would have said, well, what'd they say on the day of Acts? The day of Pentecost in the book of Acts.
It's like, well, that didn't work out so well.
No. But just that you talk about knowledge, Wayne, at that point, I thought I had all knowledge.
Yeah.
I thought I knew exactly what was going on, but what a perfect example of me only having a little slice of knowledge, biblical knowledge, Pauline biblical knowledge, and saying, I don't want to know any more because I got all there is. And the day that those words come out of your mouth, you ought to just physically, literally slap yourself as hard as you can, because the day you think you've got all knowledge and no more truth can come to you, I know all I need to know, just slap yourself because you deserve it. You
bring out, boy, that's profound, my friend, because, I have my Bible. This is my Bible. It's 37 years old, Jeff. 37 years old. Yeah. Here's mine. Today's annotated reference Bible, of course. Yeah. R.W. Schambach, how you doing? Anyway, so I'm going to just bring out the point to a lot of people who may have left Christianity or thinking about leaving it. This was knowledge. This was the sum total of knowledge, and anything outside of these two binders, I didn't need to know about. Wayne, what does it say about us that
here we are where we are, and both of our Bibles are within arm's length away?
You know, it's like an old friend. You know, I look back, and actually,
There's 25 years of preaching in this one, brother.
yeah, I mean, I got, folks like you, I've got underlines and notes. This is nearly 50 years of notes.
Yeah.
But Jeff, the fact of the matter is, my friend, if you and I did not know this book the way that we do, I think we would be invalidated by the positions we take today.
We probably would. We probably would.
Theologians won't come and debate me. I bet they don't debate you either.
There's a standing invitation for any
same
pastor,
here. Yeah.
Bible college professor that wants to meet me in a fair, open, moderated debate. You pick the subject, I'll be there.
Yeah. They won't do it. And oddly enough, Jeff, I don't know this, my friend, but I have a strong sense, because it's happened to me now twice. Yesterday, I got an email from a pastor again, and he is fighting what he knows now to what he's expected to be saying on Sundays.
Oh, he's an active pastor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that pull.
Yep. And I just wrote him and I said, you're on a road, don't abandon it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And I think, Jeff, that's why so many people get into the metaphysical. They exchange one religious theology with another. They don't want to do the hard work. And the hard work is reading. And it's a lost skill.
It is.
Yeah.
And Wayne, when we came through this, it was, well, at least I came through this in about 2000. And back then, there was no internet really. I mean, it was around, but it wasn't really around. So I had to go through all these expensive books. I had 20, 30 books open on my living room floor, going book to book to book, doing my study and going back to the original languages. And now it's easy. You just jump on the internet and boom, boom, boom. It's cheap. It's easy. You can find the original intention and meaning of the scriptures if you want to.
But you know what, Jeff? Here's the difference. It's as a passing fart. You smell it and it goes away. The fact that what you did and what I've done, and I know it's a crude analogy, but hear me. You got down and studied. That word became engrafted. It became the rhema. And you remembered it. Your energy absorbed it. What people do today on the internet is that they merely look at a factoid and they move on.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's what I meant by the fart. They simply look at it and then they move on. And then they'll tell you, well, what gives you the right? I know, and this is what happens. You know what? Well, I read on the internet. Ah, you read on the internet. How much have you actually read? Listen, I was so broke at one point in my life, but you know what I sacrificed for? Buying books.
I did the same thing, Wayne. I bought books before, and I would buy Top Ramen and a book instead of hamburger.
I cleaned out a chicken coop of chicken shit. I mean, that's what it was. And down in Texas, it gets really hot on these really big ones. But you know what I did with the money? I went and bought a book of ancient Rome.
Yep.
That book cost me $1,200. And when people challenge me about the authenticity of Jesus Christ,
chicken shit, Wayne.
It was. I got sick after that. I actually developed a lung infection. But the point was, knowledge, I realized, comes at a price. What did Plato say? All those who pass through these doors, you're going to pay a tuition.
Yep.
You will.
Yep.
And if knowledge is coming to you without cost, it means nothing to you.
And if you stop at knowledge, what is knowledge? It's no ledge. You think you know, but you're really on the ledge.
You're on the ledge.
Way to fall off.
Yeah.
You got to go from knowledge to wisdom.
Yeah. And that's the leap most people can't take.
Yep.
And, it's...
Most people won't take.
Yeah.
It's why they say a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And it really is.
It is. I knew a young man about 20 years old, 43 years ago, that thought he knew the world. It's like Bob Seger, I was invincible, like a rock. And how foolish but you know what? Yeah, I guess, Jeff, it's the process. But getting back to the knowledge, that's why it's so ingrained in you. Me,
Yeah,
others. Those of
that's true.
us,
There's something to be said about doing it the old style, the old way, the hard way.
yeah. Well, I contend these black mirrors, I did a whole show on these devices, these are black mirrors. The problem is they're stealing our knowledge.
Also within arm's reach of both of us.
Exactly. Folks, I mean, I was on Chris's channel last night,
Chris,
Forbidden Knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I think we're going to be doing a roundtable with him coming up soon. I'm looking forward to that.
And, yep. And, he said, I'm glad you said that. And I said, what? He said, these are black mirrors. And he said, I'm realizing now what kind of magic is really coming from this. And this is ancient technology.
Yeah.
Black mirrors.
It is. It is ancient technology. So, Wayne, how do you go from knowledge to wisdom?
I think you have to do what you and I have done, and I'm sure many others in this chat room. I see that Sherry Spears is here. I see a number of people who I know, skies above. We've all made the leap. It's when you finally cut the umbilical cord and you just take that leap into the great abyss. And, the interesting thing I have found, it's never hurt me.
What do you mean?
The wisdom that I have gained has come at a price, but it's not hurt me.
Right.
It's never done me any harm. And that's what you hear so often in many circles is that, let me digress. When I made the decision to leave the Christian faith, I made one last effort to reach out to the elders, to those who I had respect for. And Lynn and I met with some of them, and we had a list of questions. We were shunned. One person said, you are asking questions that's going to lead to your damnation. That's what we were told in one conversation. So we walked away from those meetings. And the one that really bothered me is when I found out there was never a person named Jesus.
Right.
When that reality hit me, there was an individual who lives back east that I called. And I said, blah, blah, blah. I said, wait a minute. You've known about this? Well, yeah, he said, there's those in Christianity that know that there never was a person named Jesus. I said, but wait a minute. You go to India to evangelize. I said, why don't you give them the true name? Oh, they'll never buy that. That's a Hebrew name. They'll never buy a Hebrew. And I said, so you're deceiving them. No, we bring them into the fold, and then if they want to know, we'll tell them. I said, what kind of freaked out? And that's what it hit me at that point, that I was
That's
part.
What Paul told him to do, Wayne.
Yeah.
Paul says, I captured you by guile. I tricked you into being a Christian. So they're just doing the same thing that their founder told them to do.
Lynn will tell you, Jeff, I broke down. I got off that phone and I wept.
Wow.
I was in a fetal position.
Wow.
Because it hit me so hard that I had been part of this delusion, this deception.
Mm.
And I made a vow to Robert Wayne Steiger, no freaking God, no Jesus, no Yahweh, no nothing. I made a vow to me that I would only pursue the true knowledge, and I would seek it from within. No book, no theology, because I had lived 50 years of my life in a lie.
Yep. That hurts. That stings.
Man, I'll tell you what.
So Wayne, what do we do? How do we approach, or do we, the people? I mean, I don't know how many millions of Christians there are in the United States, but there's a lot of them, and don't even go beyond the United States. We get into millions and millions of more, and not all of them are are nasty, rotten, dirty people that hate us. There's a lot of them that are genuinely, truly seeking
Yes.
a experience with the divine. What do we do? How do we approach, or do we?
I think there's just some, Jeff, that you and I lived it ourselves. I have this voice sometimes when I get really angry inside and I want to write that, and I heard this so many times. The path that you are walking is the path that they're entering. Do you want to scare them, or do you want to bring them on? So that's why I have 1 Corinthians 4-8 to remind me what love really is. Love takes no offense. It never takes or considers a suffered wrong.
Interesting. And if you read some of the other translations, Paul actually plagiarized that from the Master.
Yes, he did. Yeah. In fact, that goes back to the Sumerian text.
It does.
Yes, it does. So, it's odd that we have that. And since this is not your normal Sunday morning, it's really interesting if all of us merely took a refresher course in, isn't it amazing? Here we rile against that which was taught, but yet here's these nuggets of truth. Love endures long and is patient and kind. Love never is envious, nor boils over with jealousy. It is not boastful or vainglorious, does not display itself haughtily. It is not conceited, arrogant, and inflated with pride. It is not rude, unmannerly. It does not act unbecomingly. Love does not insist on its own rights or its own ways, for it is not self-seeking. It is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it, pays no attention to a suffered wrong. It does not rejoice at injustice, but rejoices when right and truth prevails. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person's. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. Love never fails. Prophecy
That's
shall
going to be the
fail.
Amplified, right?
It is the Amplified, yeah.
Wow. I mean, those are good words. Paul wrote them, but those are good words.
They're solid words. If we all applied this, there would never be a hateful word spoken.
Grab that out again, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Please. Because, if you want to learn how to turn your relationship around, here it is.
Here it is, right here.
What's the first one again? That's the first line.
Love endures long. And
love endures long,
and
which means patient, right?
Yes, and kind.
It endures long and it's kind. So it's not easily offended. There's no snapping at each other and stuff.
Yeah. It's not envious, does not boil over with jealousy. It's not boastful or vainglorious. Now, there's a word, Jeff, that you ought to expand on.
Yeah.
Because that's an old word. It's an old English word.
Vainglorious means, it's not like walking around, hey, look at me, I'm so great. But it goes back to our knowledge. Yeah. Vainglorious means, I know what I know. And if you're going against what I know, then you must be coming against me. I know this to be true. I feel this is true. We hear it in the New Age. This is my truth. And how dare you question my truth? How dare you try to take my power? That's what it's talking about.
Yeah.
And we don't understand that, we've got this thing in the New Age where we think that, it's our power and our truth, but we're not really where we need to be until we're empty and are nothing. And we don't have any truth or power to fight for.
Bingo. Woo! Boy, I got the hairs on my arm standing up. It does not display itself haughtily.
It goes right along with that. Woo! This is my way. Stop it. This is my way. You can't come over here.
I hope you're not a long-tailed cat in this session. And then the next verse, it is not conceited, arrogant, and inflated with pride. It's not rude. It's not unmannerly.
What is rude and unmannerly, Wayne?
Best one I know is when I was always taught to open the door for a lady.
Right.
I was also always taught to respect my elders. And that's how I see it when it displays itself haughtily. So often, it's like conceited. It's like,
Yeah.
who do you there was one time in my life, in my corporate life, when I had finally made the C level, I thought my crap didn't stink.
Yeah.
You know, I got so arrogant and lofty in my head, and I got slapped down.
Yeah. Read
And
that part again, Wayne. It's not.
it's not conceited, arrogant, and inflated with pride. It is not rude, unmannerly, and does not act unbecomingly.
How often do we call each other names and cast aspersions and bring up old stuff?
Yeah.
That's against that.
Yeah. I mean,
As we go into defense mode, we got to defend ourselves. True love doesn't defend itself.
it does not insist on its own rights
It
or its
doesn't
own way.
insist on its own rights.
It's not self-seeking.
Every argument you get in a relationship is because you're insisting on your own rights or you're self-seeking.
Yeah. Here's the hard one. It's not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it, pays no attention to a suffered wrong.
It takes no account, Wayne. That's big. Derek Rose and I, Global Witness, had a show about the B system. You did too, about, everything's a debt system, and we put each other in debt.
Yes, we do.
I'm mad at you on account of even the words we speak. We're keeping accounts.
And, I'm so guilty of this. I got cut off the other day in traffic. I just laid into my horn.
Yeah.
I was not walking in the proverbial love.
Wow.
I was walking in self, haughtily.
Yeah.
I like this one. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person.
What about when we're ready to believe the worst of every person?
Yeah. Like the left foot of fellowship you got. Were they practicing
like
that?
when you're in a relationship and things are said, if we're really in love, if someone says something to you, you don't take offense. What happens is you say, it sounds like they're saying something nasty to me, but really I need to think about it. What's the best thing they could mean by this? Or maybe they're just having a bad day and I shouldn't respond. But instead we hear something and we take the worst possible meaning it could be.
Oh, and I'm just going to tell on myself. Lynn will back me up on this. She has said things to me at times, and I'll stop and I'll say, "What did you mean by that?" And she said, "Didn't mean anything." Well, I heard the tone in your voice. No, you heard me. I was tired.
Yeah.
That's not what I heard. I immediately took offense. Well,
we
how
do.
dare you?
Yeah. And we really should train ourselves to think the very best of what could possibly have been said.
Yes. And look at this. Is ever ready to believe the best of every person's. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening.
So, Wayne, what about the people that are sitting home saying, "Oh, yeah, that sounds really good coming out of a book, but that's just not the real world"?
I'd agree with them. That's because it's lacking in the world. The world does not. Just do the reverse. What if the world did do this? It would be Nirvana.
Well, forget about the world. Just let's bring it down to us. What
in
if
our own lives?
This? Those of you that are in a relationship, what if you did this in your relationship?
You know what you would have?
But Wayne, you know what? That's just me. That's just my personality. That's just the way I'm made. It's just my DNA. Yada, 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 yada. It's just, that's not love, is it?
Well, I've told people, if that's where you are at in life, that you can't change, that this is just the way it is, well, it's going to get really boring for you for the rest of your life, because it means you're not going to change.
Yeah.
And if you're not changing, why are you here?
What is the one constant in life, Wayne?
What?
The one constant in life is change, right?
It's change, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't do that, why are you even living?
I love this one. The last part, love never fails, never fades out, or becomes obsolete, or comes to an end.
Wow.
So.
It never comes to an end.
Bingo. You're reading my mind, dude. You're right there inside my head. it never comes to an end.
Right. You know what? It never gets to the place where it says, that's it, I'm fed up. It never comes to its end.
Or it's like, okay, I know what love is. I'm moving on to the next thing. No, no, no. It tells me that if I walk to these principles, I'll never die.
That's right.
That's what it says. It never comes to an end.
If you could find two people that would be in a relationship like that, I guarantee you that relationship would never come to an end.
They would have Elysium.
They would.
They would.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Jacquerie.
It would be paradise within a bubble of a world of confusion and hate.
And you know what, Wayne? I get accused of being overly optimistic. I get accused of being, la and, Pollyannish, but I think it can be done.
It has to be done.
It can be done.
Let me just say this. This thought just hit me. Wow, it just hit me. Those who pursue this shall find the portal to the next plane. When you arrive, you will see that it is a plane of openness, and there's very few there, but we're adding to our numbers.
Absolutely. That is a word right there. I got the goosebumps that you just had a minute ago. The hair standing up on my arm. But it's a high calling.
It is a high calling.
Are we willing to sublimate our own egos, our own rights, our own wills, our own power, to really love?
Yeah.
And what did the master say? Who is the one that is the greatest of all? The servant of all.
Yeah. The one who loves.
The one who truly, genuinely loves.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, I'll tell you what.
If you're one person in a relationship where you want to do it, but the other one won't do it?
Well, I feel in the law of attraction and cohesion, it'll draw them.
You think so?
It's like putting a person who you think is your enemy in the middle of a circle and speaking favor upon them.
Yep. That works.
It works. And I think that this is probably, there was a reason for us to have this, because it wasn't on my agenda.
Mine either.
That there is something profound being communicated here. I believe for there's those who will be hearing this on my channel and the many thousands in the next weeks to come, Jeff, that there are going to be, in fact, I'm seeing it. I'm choosing very carefully what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I will just say this. You and I will receive messages that this message specifically saved some lives.
Ooh. Yeah, I believe that. I feel that. I really do. I believe that.
Yeah. And
that's
when
stuff.
Yeah. And I'm hearing the lives include relationships.
Absolutely.
Marriages,
I was just going to say that.
Child and parents relationships, lovers, families.
Yeah.
I see businesses. People, they're going to see this, Jeff. There's going to be those who are going to see the wisdom of this and begin to apply this law. And it is a law.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Folks, just to put this in a little bit of perspective, about 3 months ago, Wayne and I did a show, and the whole thing came out about calling down favor upon your enemies. And Wayne and I talked after that show, and he made what could only be called a prophecy, a prediction, whatever, that I thought, oh boy, Uncle Wayne has really gone off his rocker this time. There's no way. And I think I told you, yeah, brother, there's just no, that's a nice thought, but there is no way.
He was kind, folks. He was very kind, but But
I'm like, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Okay, Bubby.
Boy, okay, Wayne, pat him on the head. Okay, Wayne, thank you. And to the letter, that prophecy, that prediction has come to pass. Amazing. So when Wayne says something like this, you might want to listen. It's up to you.
Yeah. I share that only with you, Jeff. I don't do this often, but yeah. There is some serious healing going on in this. There is, I'm telling you, there is going to be life changes on this. And you know what? This is not a message for the
I feel like you're Benny Hinn and I'm Larry Huck.
Oh, now you know what? Only a person with a good balance and sense of humor can laugh at that.
That's true.
And speaking of a sense of humor, I think that's something that we also need to endeavor to get back, is a good, healthy sense of humor.
I bet your true love has a sense of humor.
I think it laughs, belly laughs. I think that it's like Don Knotts. You know, he's the only man I know that's been recorded dying laughing. I think Don Knotts
died laughing.
He died laughing.
Oh my, I didn't know that.
Yes, he died laughing. And his wife said he took one final breath and just chuckled. Now, I think maybe Don Knotts figured out something.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
And he was a funny man.
Oh, wasn't he? I mean, Barney Fife, come on.
Yeah. But I get, people say I'm too optimistic. I'm too happy. I ask too many questions. I talk too much. But you know what? I don't want to change. I like being in this little nirvana that I live in. I enjoy it.
It's a happy place.
Yep. And I remember, speaking of Larry Huck, something Larry Huck said one time to me. I think we were in a private conversation. This is when he was just starting out on this whole TBN thing, the Trinity broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
He went down to the local station and he was doing his first show, and one of the producers said to him, "Well, Larry, I don't know if you're going to make it here." And this was way at the beginning of TBN. He says, "Because all you preach is health, wealth, and prosperity."
Oh,
Wayne and Larry says to him, "Well, would you rather I preach poverty, sickness, and brokenheartedness?"
I mean, what's your alternative on it, right?
Yeah, what is the alternative?
Yeah, I mean.
So, I could walk around realistic or I could walk around pessimistic, but why?
I just want to share something, Jeff. Something that's been really heavy on my heart this week, and I don't know why it's affecting me, but we had a tragedy here in Colorado. It's made the national news now about a family here in Denver, and the father murdered his wife, who was 4 months pregnant, and his two daughters, 2 and 4. What I don't understand, Jeff, where a mind can go where it's that dark.
I can't understand. It just has to snap, or is that guy one of those people walking around that doesn't really have a soul? Is he just one of those empty, or not? Or somebody's out there saying, "Oh, they put whatever that mind control stuff is on him," where they talk
MK Ultra, Yeah. Well, this guy's been in court already, and they did an interview. They were interviewing while the police cadaver dog was there. And he said the weirdest thing on Tuesday, he said, "Well, I'm sure that they're in a good place. I hope they're in a good place." And the cadaver dog is smelling death. And it was right after they did this live news interview that, apparently, it became very obvious that death was in that house and the dogs could smell it, and he confessed. But yeah.
Wow.
And so I know that seems a little heavy, but Jeff, this is why what you and I do on Sunday mornings is so important, because it is hope. It is light. There is an alternative to the chaos, and we may be a small number, but small numbers have big impacts.
Yeah. And, I was doing my cardio this morning. I'm reading Magenta Pixie's book, and her information that she's getting, and she's about like you, Wayne. She's deadly accurate. I mean that in a good way. I'm quite deadly accurate. That's
bullseye.
Bullseye. Yeah. Shooting somebody, but she's very, very accurate. And in her book, she talks about the fact that the positive, uplifting, optimistic aspect of us is gaining the ascendancy in this realm.
Yeah. I've been told.
I don't think it has to be a mathematical, like you said, it doesn't have to be a mathematical majority. It just has to be enough inertia and synergy of enough of us together that we can tip the scale. It doesn't have to be 51% of the people. Who knows what it has to be? But she believes, and the information that she's getting from her guides and her, which she really thinks are her higher self, is that we're winning the battle. And as bad as it seems, Wayne, you know me, ever since you and I and Rex, everybody started talking, I've always been the oddball optimist, and I still feel that way.
We love you for that, though. That's your moniker. You know,
It's
where
just,
I'm the serious guy, you know.
and then Rex is Rex is all over the place.
We love Rex. I mean, Rex is the elixir that makes it all work.
He is, no doubt about it. He
You
really
know, I want to share something real quick, Jeff, because I think I need to say this.
is.
We're here. We're soul freers.
Ooh, we are soul freers.
Yeah. I finally, 63 years, 23,000 plus days on this planet. And I'm beginning to figure out why I'm here.
Yeah.
And we're taking a lot with us.
That's a powerful place when you come to that place where you realize why you're here.
Yeah. I mean, I know what the whole purpose.
Somebody says Rex is the rubber ducky in the punch bowl. What a perfect description.
Oh, we love Rex. I mean, the man is the best. And you know what?
Have you read the book The Stellar Man?
I have not.
I got to send that to you. It's very, very powerful. It talks about because it reminds me of you, because he uses, we're sapiens.
Yeah.
We're just sapiens, and everybody's a sapien, but to get to the place of being a human is an evolutionary step, and to be a human is what he calls a stellar man. You're connected to the cosmos and the universe. You're not just this animal born on this rock. Powerful stuff.
Boom.
Powerful stuff.
That's powerful. That really is powerful. I'm telling you, people in this chat room, as I see going by, I mean, these are our fellow sojourners.
They really are.
They come because they sense it. They sense the pull. And we're getting better at it.
And again, back to Pixie's book, it does talk about, as we live in this way, we do draw people to us.
We do. We do.
Birds of a feather really do flock together.
It is true. I mean, I got a bird feeder, and that's a fact. Hummingbirds don't hang out with the pigeons.
Yeah. And it's also true that if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. It's really your decision, isn't it?
It really is. And it's that life path. I mean, you know, we all talk about the crossover. And, you know, Aretha Franklin crossed over this week.
Yeah. Well, at least for us.
I'd love to have been over there. I don't know if they got the soul band going or if the Blues Brothers are putting the band back together. But that
was the Righteous Brothers, Rock and Roll Heaven.
Yeah.
If there's a rock and roll heaven, they surely got a hell of a band.
Exactly. Jeff, I'll tell you, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to be here on Sunday mornings.
It really is.
And by the way, congratulations. I see you hit 17,000.
I did. And it's pretty exciting because I went from 15 to 16,000, the fastest ever. And these great people took us from 16 to 17, even faster than that.
Yeah.
So we're really picking up a lot of momentum. And, you know, Wayne, we can get on here and blah, blah, blah all we want. But if it's not for the people that are part of our family, then we're just blah, blah, blah. And, you know, one of these days we may be just talking to each other. But now.
One thing, the conversation will never be boring.
That's right.
Now, I think this is growing. I think that, you know, you and I have been doing these Sunday mornings now for a year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you and I first started out, we had 15, 20 people listening.
Right.
And today it's now in the hundreds. The videos, the views are into the thousands.
Yeah.
So if we weren't saying something that I think was authentic and carried forth that energy of what I call, and this is what I mean by authentic. Right. It vibrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wayne, I mean, we've been right around 200 this whole show, and that is larger than about 80% of the churches in the United States.
Bingo. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And you know what? People, they have fun in here.
They do.
For the most part. We
try
to keep it fun.
You know what we need to do some Sunday morning is we need to bring in, as it just goes to 200, as I was just saying that, we need to bring in Derek Bros, the global witness.
Bring him on. Love to.
He's very much like us, only, I don't know. We'll just have to bring Derek on and let you two meet each other, and just, it would be a great discussion. Maybe
Well,
I'll ask Eric if he'll do it next Sunday.
love to have it. It's like
Yep.
chocolate. Chocolate is in my major food groups.
Yeah.
But the great thing about chocolate is not, let me tell you, folks, it's healthy for you. It really is. Contains good chocolate, has more antioxidants per weight than you can get in any other food. But here's my point,
Sandra
Jeff.
claims it grounds her.
It does what?
Grounds her.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. It's not that we say this, because chocolate, when it was discovered, was a sacrament.
It was a sacrament. That's true.
Only for the gods. But my point is that chocolate, when it hits my tasting organ, it's made up of many different sensations, but it's still chocolate.
Right.
Yeah.
And aren't we not all gods, as the master said?
We are. We
So
are.
let them eat chocolate.
And actually, what you said is, I believe, the revelation of our generation, of our species, of our time. We are gods.
We are.
One day we'll
And
figure this out.
once you see God, once you see that you are God, you are divine, you are sovereign, you are free, you will not see God and live the way you used to live. You won't be the way you used to be. You'll be transformed into a person capable of doing what Paul stole from the master and wrote down there in the chapter from Corinthians that we just read.
Someone asked me, are you an atheist? And I said, I'm not an atheist. I'm not anything. I said, listen, God is a concept of the infinite being.
Yeah.
And I like what I'm reading in this book right now, that God is the description that man has assigned to the ever elusive, ever unattainable, that he has not been able to touch. That's God.
Somebody asked me, well, who are you? I'm somebody you can't put a label on. Because I
won't. For some reason, when you said that, I thought of Rod Stewart. I don't know why.
Maybe it's that my hair's a little puffy today on top.
I really like Rod Stewart. He is a man that is after my own heart.
He is super talented. I just saw him in Vegas not too long ago doing his not his rock and roll stuff, but his more
the ballads,
balladier stuff.
Yeah.
And boy, he can really sing it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Lynn and I saw him 2 years ago, and I met him back in the 70s when he was with Ron Wood.
Boy.
Yeah, and before Ron Wood went and joined the Stones, and he's a cool dude. I just like the dude. Yeah, you remind me a lot of him in your mannerisms.
Rod Stewart?
Yeah.
Nice. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah. So there you go, buddy. Little bro love going on, little bromance, man.
I appreciate that. So let us know where we can find you, Wayne, and how people can get a hold of more of your material.
Over on our Wayne Steiger, and it's always entertaining.
And our Wayne Steiger's channel is on my channel, so you can simply go over there to where it says great channels, subscribe, and you'll find our Wayne Steiger right there, along with Heidi and Jenny and Sandra and Rex.
All the rest of them.
All the luminaries, ladies and gentlemen.
How's Heidi been? I haven't...
I had a conversation with Heidi a couple days ago. She's doing great. She's, working hard.
How's her real estate business doing up there? Good?
It's booming.
I bet.
That's why she can't get out of it. She's so good at it.
Yeah. Oh, talented woman.
She is.
Many. Well, in fact, I'll tell you, you and I are very blessed men. I see the women that are here all the time, Sherry, Catherine. I could go on with so many of them. And, you and I are better for that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that makes me most proud, I don't mean to say that in a prideful way, and I always check this. I don't check a lot of things on my analytics, but on my analytics, Wayne, right now I'm 51% of the 17,000 subscribers, 51% male subscribers, 49% female subscribers.
Wow.
And that to me is it's something I'm very, very proud of, because we do have a great balance between these sacred feminine folks and the sacred masculine folks. And again, thank you so much. I'm very, very honored that you're here, and just thank you for being you.
We have a great group.
We do, Wayne.
So what do you got going this week?
Pardon me?
What do you got going this week?
This week we've got Derek Brose again, Global Witness. We may even have a really, really special guest that everybody would know, but we're not going to say anything about it at this point. Also, we're going to have the return of the Rapscallions with Scotty Roberts, the
Good.
consequential Rapscallions. We're trying to put together a show in the next week or two with the author of the Baba G, the E.T. book, Robert Stanley, Jay Campbell, maybe Wayne too, and also Rex Bear. And then Rex, I've had a lot of requests to have Rex and Global Witness on together. And of course, we want to try to get Global Witness next week on the Sunday, not your normal Sunday morning show as well.
I'd love to have him. I'd love to hear.
I'm having to go back into the Matrix this week, Wayne. I've got to start a job again, just because of my new family situation, and I'm excited to learn how to excel within the Matrix.
Jeff, I have a sense. I do. I think you're going to find that the law of attraction is heavy upon you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll leave it at that.
And I'll do my very best to leverage that.
Well, I don't think you have to. I think it's just the best thing is when it comes and it happens as it should.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, Wayne.
You're a good
And we
man.
do appreciate all of you.
Yes.
The divinity in us recognizes the divinity in you. I do salute you for being here seeking after truth. And for my good friend R. Wayne Steiger, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. And we really are the last generation of real humans, folks. Let's get busy and love and light to every single one of you. And whatever you do, don't miss next week's Not Your Normal Sunday show. Make sure that you regularly visit the R. Wayne Steiger channel and all of our friends that are listed on our websites. And I hope that we'll see you here again sometime again real soon.
Bye-bye, folks.